And good morning on Tuesday, January 23rd. I had to double check that. I'm BVG, and it's the 359 podcast, episode 343. And today your hosts include Joan, Solsman, Roger Cheng, and Ben Fox Rubin. Good morning, everybody.
Hello.
Good morning.
So, what are we talking about today, Roger?
We're going to be talking about HomePod.
HomePod.
Finally.
It's coming.
It's finally coming. Apple finally confirmed the date, February 9th.
February 9th.
And you'll actually begin to be able to pre-order it starting this Friday.
Just in time for Valentine's Day. All
Yay.
those HomePod
Oh,
Valentine's
yeah.
Day.
Is that a good Valentine's Day gift?
Super romantic.
For the Apple fanboy in your life.
That's true.
I don't love anyone $349 worth.
Really? Whoa. That's your threshold?
348.
There you go. There you go.
That's what my love is
We'll
worth.
also be talking about Netflix and its blowout quarter. All really thanks to Will Smith. I'm just giving it to Will Smith.
And this little thing called Stranger Things too.
What?
That probably has something to do with it.
And then just lastly, a little tease to our Katie Collins story on sleep tech. So, as always, if you have any questions on these topics, please leave them in the comment section. Brian will pick out the best, and we will get to them in 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
From 3, 2...
Welcome to the 359. I'm Roger Cheng.
I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
I'm Joni Solsman.
Apple finally set a launch date for HomePod, with pre-orders opening up this Friday and the smart speaker hitting stores on February 9th. Now, this was supposed to launch last year. Obviously, we've talked a lot about the delay. And since then, we've seen Alexa and Google Assistant go in everything, right? Refrigerators, televisions, cars, toilets. CES was all about Amazon and Google. Yet again. So, Ben, I got to ask, does Apple have a chance here?
Yeah, absolutely.
What?
It's Apple.
Okay.
I mean, I
Let's
understand.
end the podcast there. Yes.
I mean, look, I understand that there are a lot of people in the tech industry that see a lot of the limitations of HomePod and Siri and just want to say that this product is dead on arrival. The thing is that Apple can sustain this product for years and lose money on it if it feels like it needs to break into the smart speaker market. I mean, they literally have more money than God.
Well,
I checked with God before I said that, and it's true.
God's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
they have a little more
that
than we
said, Apple loves its margins. It loves its profitability, and it's never taken an Amazon-like strategy where it will willingly lose money to be in this business.
But
so,
will it be losing money on something that costs that much?
no, I guess not. I mean, that's
Yeah,
I guess
it might
it was
not-
to Ben's point about the idea of losing money and the fact that no one's going to be buying it for a while.
Losing cachet or
Cachet, or no, if
Actual
it
money.
doesn't sell as well as expected or if it
Okay.
misses its targets,
Yeah.
then it's not as profitable, right?
It's just what would the point of Apple sunsetting the product after a year or two? Because even if they get a couple customers in the door, then they can start building out the ecosystem, building the software, and actually get a foot in the door in smart speakers. So it's just, I think that people are being a little they're jumping the gun to
Right.
say that the HomePod it's already finished. It's
Well,
not.
so let me ask you both this. I have an Amazon Echo. I have two Amazon Echoes. I've kind of committed to that ecosystem at this point. I don't know if I really want to switch to another one. What do you two have? Do you
I have an Echo.
I have 3 Echoes and a Google Home, but this is what I write about.
Right. So, but that's the thing. You're an Echo user. Would you be willing to switch to Google Home or switch to HomePod?
I mean, purely as a consumer,
Yeah.
my calculus is that I am satisfied with the product that I already have. I paid 1/4 of the price for that product than I would be asked to pay for this new one, even though I use Android and iPhone. I use iPhone for my day-to-day life. Even though I'm part of that ecosystem already,
Yeah.
I don't see the value in having something not as well replicate what I already have for much less money.
Right. And I think that's the initial hurdle that I can't sort of wrap my head around. Is how does Apple get past the idea that people have already committed to certain smart speakers?
Okay. If they have any traction whatsoever, I think the expectation is from some folks in the industry that they would come out with a HomePod mini.
Yeah.
Like a tiny version that would be a lower price point. It still wouldn't be around $50, which you would get with the Google Home Mini or the Amazon Echo Dot, but it wouldn't be $349.
All right, well, that's an interesting idea. All right, next up, Netflix posted another blowout quarter, thanks in part to Will Smith's Bright, which Joan debates me on. But
He's from Philadelphia.
You
He's
awesome.
awesome.
You covered their earnings last night. What stood out for you from those results?
Well, you're right. Will Smith had Will Smith's Bright blockbuster flick. It was Netflix's first attempt at a blockbuster popcorn style tentpole film, and it really resonated with viewers from what we can tell. It helped contribute to Netflix reporting its best quarter of new member additions ever.
Right. Although
Still?
there was a little show called Black Mirror too that also
Black
there were a
Mirror,
couple
and
of
also
other shows.
their biggest hit at all, like
Stranger
period, is
Things.
Stranger Things,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
came out in the same period.
Yeah.
But all those things, that's the thing that they're going for. They're going for this constant cadence of new stuff. That's gotta watch it sort of things. Even if Bright wasn't the thing you gotta watch, maybe Stranger Things was.
Right.
So-
and you dropped an interesting, or they dropped an interesting comment about rate hikes or the lack of rate hikes going forward, right?
Yeah, so everybody always wants to know when their precious bill for Netflix is going to be going up, and there was an increase last year, and what they said last night is that there's no more increases on the horizon. But then they got sort of wishy-washy about the circumstances that would allow them to raise rates again, and it sounds a lot like what's happening right now. So I think what they're saying is we're not planning on hiking rates, but I think we could if we wanted to.
Okay, so how many new net additions were there in the United States?
In the U.S., there are almost 2 million new.
Like, I thought that market was already saturated. So who are these folks?
So that's a great question. I don't know exactly who they are. I'm sure they're definitely not people at that like first half of the tech adopter, new adopter wave. Like the first half of that pyramid or that wave, they've already got that. It's the second half. Netflix has said like years ago that they believe that the U.S. market is 60 million to 90 million people for them, and they're at about 55 million now. So they still have runway. They still see having runway before they even meet the lowest threshold of what they see as being the U.S. market.
You know, there are places in America where like internet, like broadband connections are still getting up to par with actually holding the service. Like places that internet access isn't great, isn't like something that we take for granted for, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know, still the market. Lastly, if you have trouble sleeping, you might want to check out a feature from our own Katie Collins, and just how effective sleep tech can be. She runs down a number of different devices and just sort of talks about her own personal experiences and how it actually caused her to really stress out about her sleep. It's an interesting read. Check out that story and more. Go and CNET. I'm Roger Cheng.
I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
I'm Joni Solsman.
Thanks for listening.
Dibs on the sleep tech stuff. I'm always interested in that.
But wait a minute. So she was looking into sleep tech and it stressed her out about
No,
sleep?
so
She lost sleep over her
So
sleep
if
tech.
you read her intro, she actually did lose some sleep over it. She
Sounds
used a
horrible.
Misfit Shine sleep tracker, and you know for a while it was kind of
she's stressed out because she has to do this for her paycheck.
no.
Mm-hmm.
She was doing this as sort of as an experiment. She was looking at her sleep cycles, or how much good sleep she got. And she started stressing about the amount of good sleep she got. Like she felt like she was constantly, like
Her
getting
debt
in a
was
hole. Her
increasing.
sleep debt just getting
How
higher and
ironic.
higher. Yeah. And so that was kind of like that was sort of her intro to the story, like why some of this stuff may not actually work. I mean, she does lay out some products that are more effective than others, but I think that lead kind of is a great example of like that core dilemma when you use tech to solve.
You know
certain
what?
problems.
You know what sleep tech I like? There was that thing at CES. It was a pillow that just breathed. It was a breathing pillow. You
Breathes?
just hold it, and it's like you're holding a dog or a loved one.
Oh yeah, okay.
And it's just like you hold it, you turn it on, and it breathes. It's very nice. I feel like I could get into that.
Is there an audio component? Like, does it make a breathing sound, or is it just the motion?
I don't think so, but you could probably buy something that will snore.
Actually,
want to.
you joke about that, but my kid's got like a little stuffed baby that makes those sleeping noises to like emulate his mother's snore. Yeah, helps him
Wait,
to sleep.
is it your wife's actual?
No.
sleep sounds?
It's just
'Cause
sort of
that
like
would be
it's just like a
interesting.
standard like snoring sound. Not snoring, but
You're,
like,
garden
breathing.
variety
It's
snore.
garden variety breathing stuff. I don't know.
Garden
He
variety apnea.
He loves it though. You put him in the crib, he's like, baby. And you have to like throw the baby
Aw.
in there.
Is the baby
Just
okay?
throw
So it's
the
a
baby. Just throw it.
Yeah. That's I literally toss it into him, like,
This
hey
should be in
yo,
the
there's the
sizzle
baby.
reel. Sizzle reel outtakes for the podcast. Just throw the baby.
Yeah,
Roger's like backing up from the crib. Kobe.
yeah.
Yeah, what I need
Nice.
is like some kind of technology that replicates the experience of being like on a moving vehicle. Because I sleep on an airplane and a bus like you wouldn't believe.
I mean,
but
there's
can't
so
sleep
much
for crap at
so
home.
much baby tech that does that. That like
Really?
Really?
yeah. Well, not so much, but I can think of like
Can
at
we
least two
expand
things.
it?
To adults,
Like a couple
there's the
hundred
market for you.
pounds? or-
Kickstarter it, baby.
Man,
Do
I
it.
just
What is that technology? Is it you literally put the crib
There's
on
a couple
on a
cribs.
track?
No. There's a couple
Just keep it
cribs.
Oh my
moving.
god, that'd be awesome. Just
That'd be
constantly moving around.
That's the only thing you could fit in the room.
It's
but
not
still.
so much the motion; it's the literal movement in
the-
space. It's the vibration
Yeah,
that replicates.
Yeah.
I'm out before. Well, we were heading to CES, and I was out before we were off the tarmac. Like I was done.
I can't sleep on planes. Just the seats are too uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah, there are too many snakes.
What do you say we get into the chat?
Yeah,
All right,
let's do it.
Please.
Shout out to some new friends and new fans that are joining us. Namely, we got CRO Videos joining us live for the first time.
CRO videos.
What's up?
What up?
All right.
Joan, talking about Netflix, you
Yeah.
said Stranger Things is their greatest hit, and I don't contest that. But what was Orange is the New Black was their first, and then Stranger Things usurped that.
No. House of Cards.
House of Cards is the first.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, infamously, Netflix doesn't share details, but what you can glean from outside information is that House of Cards was its first get people talking. Netflix is making originals that you want to watch hit. That, in terms of number of viewers, was usurped by Orange is the New Black, and then Stranger Things was just like an out of the ballpark, kind of now at the top level of the thing that of Netflix subscriber base, the largest portion of the subscriber base watches that one show rather than any other. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
good show.
And it's, yeah.
Although
it's
they did say that Bright was
one of their most
one of
watched
the most
titles,
watched titles.
including both movies and
Yeah, which is impressive considering it's
yeah.
only been around for a little while. Right.
yeah,
Well, and they also put a ton of money into it. If it was like
$90
this,
million
Yeah.
reportedly.
I mean, like
Was
Marco
that just
Polo.
was that just for the film? Or was that also marketing?
I think marketing might be separate, but you know,
Oh, wow.
it's a different calculus between like marketing a film. The marketing expenses are giant. Netflix did on its like for a Netflix property, they did a lot of marketing for Bright, but it's still nowhere near like imagine like a Star Wars or a
Oh,
Jumanji
yeah.
or like it's
Right.
nowhere near like what a normal studio would be doing.
Right. And a lot of the marketing is on like the Netflix interface,
Exactly.
which is free.
Free,
So,
yeah, basically free.
I have to wonder how much Will Smith made. He's probably like
Oh, I can probably find out.
The
Hold
90
on.
million was all to
it was
him.
the whole Will Smith. It was like a $1 billion movie, and it was like $89 million with Will Smith.
I like that Michael Brown says, "Why aren't nap pods a commercial thing?" I'm getting into that idea.
Nap pods.
Nap pods.
I'm thinking that's like must be some kind of chamber that replicates whatever sleeping environment. Like
It's
you
in
put it
Silicon
in an airport.
Valley.
And,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like you'd probably find that in SF. Like, I'm sure our CNET office in SF has something like that.
I think they have them in a lot of airports these days, right?
Possibly. I don't know.
I feel like I read something about that. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to Looker LA69 who says you guys are really funny. Not so.
thanks.
Congratulations on keeping that
it's-
1995 zinger alive. Melody Lane wants to know how exactly is the HomePod going to differentiate itself from the Alexa. Now we've kind of grazed over this in the past, and we all know that Apple goes on and on about their speaker quality.
Right.
But as Michael Brown so graciously pointed out in the chat, Siri is hot garbage.
I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah,
with that.
I mean, look, that they're going to be pushing the fact that it's going to be very tightly knit to your iPhone. But yeah, I think
audio
that's
quality.
Audio
It was-
quality is- I
Brian,
mean,
you got it right.
Audio
Yeah.
quality is a big one, but I imagine going forward, especially as they're going after hardcore Apple users, is we're going to sell this thing as like this is the smart speaker that will be most closely tied to your iPhone.
Yeah,
to your
for
Mac.
Apple people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for Apple people. But other than that, it's a good question because I don't really know if it's just audio quality. That's not enough for a lot of people, right? People
hard
aren't
to
buying
say.
smart speakers for audio quality.
I mean, we
I
live
mean,
in
like
the MP3
Sonos-
generation. So many people don't care about audio fidelity
I
anymore.
don't-
Or if they
know
do,
if
they
that's
buy
true.
high-end speakers.
Yeah,
right?
we're already going that route. You're
which
not going to
can
meet
connect
us.
to other smart speakers.
You're not going to meet us in the middle on that.
right.
So the Sonos one, which works with
Yeah.
Alexa and I believe also Google Assistant, is definitely one of those higher end speakers. And the HomePod is seen as a bigger rival, specifically to the Sonos, than it would be to the Echo or the Home line. The problem is that Siri does need a lot of work, and it's really just a matter of Apple actually spending the money and hiring more staff to do it. It's not like they don't have the resources to; they just haven't put the time and effort, I believe, into actually making Siri more worthwhile. And a lot of the partners that already partner with Google Home and the Echo, of course they'd want to partner with Apple because it's Apple. So, yeah.
We want to take some more questions? We got a little time left?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, just making sure. Srinjoy, did you guys see the HomePod illustrations in a white, soulless room? I died a bit on the inside. I did not see these.
I didn't see that, no. But I can sort of imagine it.
Strinjoy knows more about tech than we do.
Strinjoy should be on the show.
You really should.
Yeah.
Where are you, Strinjoy?
Yes,
by the way,
we
just
wanna
come to
find-
New York.
Maybe we can bring you in on Skype or something one day.
Yeah.
Still got to figure that one out. Moving on, Michael Brown, Apple HomePod will sell, and it will probably sell right over Sonos and right under Google Home and Amazon Echo. I think that's a pretty fair assumption.
I feel like that's a pretty safe bet. I mean, it's Sonos is still kind of a niche brand unless you're into audio equipment.
Apple at this point has such a dedicated base that they can essentially measure.
But they
everyone's
can't-
going to get this and that.
But they can't move the volumes because it's not like a $50 speaker like the Google Home.
Yeah,
Right.
not only that, but like I think that
They're
there's
not
like
breaking down walls with this.
there's a good measure of Schadenfreude, I think that's going on here, where like Apple is the highest valued company in the world. They have all this money. People are waiting to see one of their products fail just because. Also, like Apple fanboys aren't really. They don't really ingratiate themselves to other people, I would say. So,
Way to overgeneralize, man.
well, okay.
I know some very nice Apple fanboys.
I wonder who they are.
Anyways, any other questions?
Yeah, let's get a couple more in here before we call it a day. I lost my place. A lot of people are talking about the Sonos speaker,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is a good point.
Yeah.
That's a great alternative, very cost effective. Scott Maya, Apple bought Beats, now entering the smart speaker market. Would it make sense for them to buy out Sonos next?
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Joan, what do you think of the Beats acquisition, and why isn't this called like a Beats speaker?
That's a good point. Well, I think for the last question, I think it's because the Apple brand is stronger than the Beats brand. People are much more invested in buying an Apple product than they are in buying a Beats product.
Yeah, that's true.
But in terms of the Beats acquisition itself, I think that ultimately it was they bought it because they wanted to have a music service and not necessarily because they wanted to have the headphones, even though the headphones are the thing that from the ground running made it not a completely stupid acquisition, like, what I mean?
It's the actual thing that made money.
It actually makes money.
Yeah,
It makes money well. It dominated the premium speaker or premium headset
Headphones.
market. Yeah, headphone
Yeah.
market. And so it wasn't like it was the sort of like, undercurring thing that it's like, okay, that's a lot of money. I think it was $3 billion to buy Beats. It's a lot of money. It's the biggest acquisition Apple's ever done, but at least there's something in there that actually makes money. And so, so I think that was sort of the reason why Beats didn't now, who knows whether.
And now they're kind of like stuck with this. Like they got their Beats
Yeah.
radio, they've got Apple Music, but then they're also kind of stuck with this Beats headphone business.
Yeah,
Right,
they're still
and
doing
It
it's
makes
a
money, it
brand.
does well, but it's like, it's not really core to Apple. Or,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It just seems clear to me that, they don't have any like Beats related integration into this, or like
Yeah.
they didn't even label anything like these are Beats woofers or something like that.
Yeah.
It just means to me that like they're just not emphasizing the Beats brand at all. And like that, I guess, shouldn't have surprised
I
me,
think
but
they're
whatever.
happy to let Beats as a hardware brand just continue trucking along the way that it always has been and not expand it more beyond
I
what
mean,
it already
the money
was.
it makes is kind of a rounding error in the grand scheme of, iPhone sales that are out there. So, yeah.
All right, let's get just a couple more quickies in here before we call it a day. Jamie Yong, is Siri going to be improved when HomePod is released? I'm a Google Home user, recently purchased an iPhone, trying to get into the Apple ecosystem. I can only suffer to use Siri instead of Google. And you got to wonder, is that going to be the case? Will Siri actually stop being hot garbage? Thank you again, Michael Brown. Because, like, when we all got Alexa in our homes,
Yeah.
and I mean all of us, pretty much.
Yeah.
She had to learn. She had to get smarter. She had to experience. If they're basically kind of forcing that into an Apple user's home, will that inevitably actually improve the performance of Siri due to more usage?
Oh, definitely, right. Like just having more interactions will definitely have it improved. Didn't Apple promise though that Siri would get a whole bunch of new features and upgrades?
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, a lot of them are going to be music related. So
Yeah,
when you
okay.
ask for like specific, artists or titles, or
Okay.
I think a lot of those Siri editions are going to be related to playing music in your home, or like I want to hear symphony, or I want to hear jazz, or whatever. I don't think that you're going to see other stuff like buying a Domino's pizza, ordering an Uber ride. That might come later, but at least for now, really the third-party stuff that we saw that they announced today are like third-party messaging services like WhatsApp. You'd be able to use Evernote for like to-do lists. It's very limited compared to what you can do with Alexa or Google Assistant.
All right, we are right down to the wire here. We want to give a quick shout out to Dimas or Dimas. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right. Doing your homework. Good luck with that in Indonesia. Always love how cool and how broad our listener base is. A dog asks, do you think Apple will make an HQ2 like Amazon?
Yeah.
Oh,
didn't they
They
just talk
announced
about
that.
it? Yeah,
They just
are.
haven't labeled it that.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, they're looking at Amazon's blueprint, not necessarily to do it publicly, but like they're seeing how like cities are just falling over themselves, offering money and tax benefits to open a new business there or open a new campus. Like, why wouldn't Apple take advantage of that?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's
they
just
said
it's
that.
really, I mean, it's good PR and it's also good for like in terms of like Tim Cook getting on President Trump's good side, right? Like Trump's always talking about jobs, and Apple comes out with this announcement like we're gonna bring new jobs and create whatever. We're bringing a new facility in some city in America.
Jobs are always good.
They're not playing it up the same way Amazon
for sure.
is that they didn't label it HQ2.
Right.
They said they're building a new U.S. campus, but I think that they're still going to be like their mothership is still very much going to be in Cupertino.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, this is partly as much PR as it is, opening a facility and taking advantage of whatever tax benefits cities are going to throw at them. I'm sure they're going to be pretty generous.
Dead sprint to the finish line here. Scott Myatt, do you think that Apple will ever open up Siri to other devices along the road?
Other phone devices? I imagine they'll open. I guess I don't know. That's
You can
really
use
a
it
question.
for-
Since we see Alexa performing with the Sonos, do you think Siri is going to start sneaking into other places?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
Okay, so it does work. The HomePod will work with other smart home gadgets, so you'll be able to like operate your thermostat and your connected lights, because obviously everybody expects to be able to do that with a smart speaker.
But I think the
whether
bigger
that's
question
going
is,
to
whether Siri actually moves from HomePod to like another actual device that's not Apple
it's
created.
not a very Apple thing to do,
No.
but we've seen Google and Amazon already do that with their assistants. I don't know. It's a good question, and I don't really see it right now, but it's certainly possible.
It also will depend on how well these, Alexa and Google Assistant powered devices actually sell, right? Like, are people buying them? No one's buying them because Alexa's in it, right?
Which ones?
Like, I don't know, lights or refrigerators or all these other products you see with assistants built in. Like, that's not why you're buying them. You're buying them
it's a
because
value
good
add.
product. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know if Apple actually needs to.
All right, and the final question of the day coming from our good friend Michael Brown. I love this. Do you think sleep tech should be built into furniture, beds, lazy boys, etc.? Yes.
I guess it depends on what the sleep tech is, right?
I mean, what do we really have on the market now? We got things like
there are a lot of those are sensors.
the sensors and timers.
Apparently,
and
there's like
listening.
There are little
and-
speakers that like know when you're about to sleep and either play soft music. Or,
Whoa, that would be cool if my couch did that.
I don't know, just emanate from the cushions.
You're like hanging out on the couch watching TV, and you start to doze, and the couch starts
Strangers
getting
in
my-
the
I'm
night.
getting my music.
lullaby and
I need to
rocking you
stop.
back and forth.
It's like at award shows when the orchestra starts playing.
It just plays
Like,
you off
time
the
to go to
couch.
bed. Sorry,
Yep.
Ben. Can't keep binging Stranger
Actually,
Things.
that'd be kind of cool if a smart couch like talked to your Netflix account. Like it noticed you were binge watching Stranger Things. You're like, all right, it's like 7 episodes in. You probably got to get some sleep, and like it boots you off the couch.
That's
Like,
the
literally
opposite of what it needs
levers
to
you
do.
off.
That's the opposite of
All
what.
right, time to go to bed. Get off the
right.
couch.
And
I
it
don't
brushes
know.
your teeth. That would be a very Jetsons thing to do.
Oh my God, that is so Jetsons.
I would
hurts.
love that if my
How much
couch
would you-
brushed my teeth.
How much would you pay for that couch?
$10,000.
Wow.
Easy. And I would buy it tomorrow.
No problem.
Oh my goodness.
All right, we are just about out of time, and that's some good food for thought. I'm going to literally sit around and like draw what I wish I could
The
have.
smart couch
Smart
with like
couch.
of your
crayons
dreams.
and
I
then like
mean,
put it on the fridge in the
I feel like
office.
that's a category we need to see more stuff. Smart couches.
Definitely.
Just tell you
I'm calling
when
it
to go to sleep.
CES 2019.
Yeah.
Smart couch.
Yeah. We saw a bunch of the bed stuff. Couches, though. It's the next frontier. All right. If you liked anything you saw or heard here, check us out on CNET. Our podcast is available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, FeedBurner, Google Play Music, and Amazon Echo. See y'all tomorrow.
Bye, everyone.